In the quiet corners of life, behind closed doors, hospital curtains, and whispered conversations, people are carrying unimaginable sorrow. The kind you don't see on social media. The kind that doesn't have neat resolutions. But hidden within these stories is something powerful. Something the world often forgets. Sorrow is not just a weight, it's a forge. It doesn't just break us. It builds us. And perhaps no story captures this more clearly than the journey of the Kearney family. They are not public figures. They haven't set out to inspire the world. But their honesty, their grit, and their love have done just that, not with fanfare, but with real-life resilience. This is how their deepest sorrow became their greatest strength, and how yours can, too. When life shifts without warning. When Melissa and Alan Kearney welcomed their son Isaac, they weren't thinking about rare diagnoses or medical interventions. Like every parent, they were thinking of hope. Of first steps and future dreams. But life had its own script. Isaac was born with Wolf-Hirschhorn syndrome, a genetic condition that changed the trajectory of everything. Then came a second diagnosis, craniosynostosis, a rare condition where the bones of a baby's skull fuse too early, requiring invasive surgeries and frequent hospital visits. In that moment, everything shifted. This was not the story they had imagined. There was pain. There was fear. And there was sorrow, deep, wrenching sorrow. Not because Isaac was any less wanted or loved. But because the life they thought they would live was gone, replaced by one that came with more questions than answers. This is a sorrow so many families face but rarely talk about. The quiet grief of what could have been. The overwhelming pressure to adapt, be strong, and carry on when your heart feels shattered. But here's where the Kearney's story becomes extraordinary. They didn't hide from the sorrow, they faced it. Some people run from sorrow. Some bury it. Some pretend everything's fine. But the Kearneys did something different. They acknowledged it. They faced it. And they kept going anyway. They allowed themselves to feel. They let the tears fall when they needed to. They didn't pretend to be superheroes, they just committed to showing up, day after day, for their son and for each other. And in doing that, their sorrow began to change shape. What once felt like devastation slowly became determination. The weight that once crushed them became the reason they stood taller. The pain that once silenced them became the fire that pushed them forward. This wasn't overnight. It wasn't a miracle moment. It was a slow, difficult transformation, the kind that only comes when you refuse to let sorrow be the end of your story. Alan, strength in stillness. If sorrow is a storm, Alan Kearney is the steady ground beneath it. He may not be the loudest in the room, but his strength is in his unshakable presence. Alan carried the weight of uncertainty on his back, and never let it crush his family. He didn't have all the answers. He didn't need to. He showed up. For Isaac. For Melissa. For Florence. For himself. In his calm, in his steadiness, sorrow didn't break him, it gave him depth. The kind of depth that children feel, even without words. The kind that teaches them, you are safe. I am here. We will get through this. Alan proves that true strength isn't found in grand gestures, it's found in staying, when staying is hard. Melissa, finding power in the pain. Melissa Kearney didn't choose sorrow. But when it came, she didn't let it define her, she used it. In the early days of Isaac's life, sorrow often sat right beside her. In long nights. In the uncertainty of surgery. In the exhaustion of advocacy. But instead of letting that sorrow steal her spirit, she turned it into fuel. She learned the medical terms. She fought for services. She held her son through moments no mother should have to. She built strength in every tear wiped, every decision made, every day survived. Melissa's power isn't in being fearless, it's in facing the fear and acting anyway. She shows us that sorrow doesn't weaken mothers, it gives them a fire that no one else can replicate. Isaac, the light they didn't expect, but needed. Here's what makes this story even more powerful. Isaac is not a tragedy. He is the strength. He is the gift. In his laugh, in his joy, in his resilience, Isaac flips the entire narrative. He lives with conditions that come with real difficulty, but he faces the world with curiosity and courage. He plays. He learns. He loves. And perhaps the most unforgettable moment in his journey came when Liverpool FC surprised him at school, later bringing him to Anfield Stadium. A boy who once lay in hospital beds was now being celebrated by his football heroes. That moment wasn't just about a football club. It was about acknowledgement. About the world pausing to say, "You matter. You belong." Isaac's life, once marked by sorrow, had become a beacon of joy and inclusion. And that's the beauty of sorrow transformed. It makes room for joy in places you never expected to find it. Florence, the quiet resilience. Florence, Isaac's sister, grew up beside sorrow, and also beside strength. She watched her parents navigate unknowns. She learned early how to care. She developed a kind of empathy and maturity that no textbook can teach. Her childhood looks different than most. But what she's learning is rare. That being strong doesn't mean being loud. That love can be both soft and fierce. That family is built not on perfection, but on commitment. Florence, like the rest of her family, is proof that sorrow doesn't just impact, it shapes. And sometimes, it shapes something extraordinary. Your sorrow has power, too. The Kearney family didn't ask for the road they walk. But they've walked it anyway, with grace, with fight, and with love. Their story is not a fairy tale. There's no bow tied at the end. The challenges are real and ongoing. But here's what is also true. Their deepest sorrow has become their greatest strength. And so can yours. Whatever you're carrying. Whatever diagnosis, loss, heartbreak, or hardship you're facing. Know this. It will shape you. It will stretch you. But it doesn't have to break you. You may never go back to the person you were. But maybe, just maybe, you'll become someone even stronger. Even deeper. Even more equipped to face the world as it really is. The Kearneys remind us that sorrow and strength are not opposites. They often walk hand in hand. Final thought. Your sorrow is not your ending. It may very well be your beginning. And if you ever doubt that, think of Isaac, laughing at Anfield. Think of Alan, calm in the storm. Think of Melissa, standing tall in the fight. Think of Florence, holding it all with quiet grace. And remember, you are stronger than you think. You are not alone. And yes, even here, even now, your deepest sorrow can become your greatest strength.